So my name is Sami, and I work for a company named Migaku. And today, I'm kind of breaking this into four parts. I'll talk a little bit about myself, and then after that, we'll get into kind of how the test works and how I studied Mandarin. So yeah, my name is Sami. I work as a writer, and I've studied Chinese for about 6 years. I passed the TOCFL 5, but actually my reading score is a bit better, and my listening score is a little bit worse. And I took the TOCFL because I'm moving to Japan next year, and Japan is um, like certifications are very important in Japan. And I was kind of curious to see how much Chinese did I learn after living in Taiwan for 6 years. And also, my wife is Taiwanese, and she asked me to take the test. So today, this is broken into two big halves. In the first half, I'm going to talk about the tests. I'll give a bit of an overview of how the test works and kind of what type of questions you'll see. And then at the end, give instructions on how you can sign up to take the TOCFL. And afterwards, I'll talk about kind of my experience studying Mandarin and taking the tests. So I'll go through this quickly, but to get started, the TOCFL was founded in 2001, and it's gone through several different stages. So it's quite an established test, and it's specifically for non-native speakers to see how well they speak Chinese. And if we look at the TOCFL, you might be familiar with the CFR scale of grading, which is from A2 to from A1 to C2, with A1 being the very beginning and C2 being the highest. And TOCFL roughly corresponds to this. So if you take the A-level test, what that's saying is the tests like your ability to handle basic interactions in the language. In the B level, you're kind of independent. Maybe you can't do everything without a bit of preparation, but you can feel quite comfortable. And in the C level, it's more for like professional or if you want to study in Taiwan or China type thing. And then some versions of TOCFL also have a lower novice level, which is more foundational, but depending on where you're taking the country, it may or may not exist. And so about the TOCFL is that it's not actually tied to any textbook. You can't just buy like TOCFL level 1 and go through it. It's more testing how capable are you of resolving certain problems in Chinese that are related to everyday life. There's several parts to the test, which I'll get into in a second. So there's some listening and there's some reading part of the test. And if you take the computer version of the tests, this might be the only thing that you take. And if you choose to do so, you can opt to take a speaking and a writing portion of the test also. So I'll go through this quickly, but the main key point about the TOCFL is that unlike a paper test where, maybe there's 60 questions and every single one is worth, say, 1 or 2 points, and you see how many did you get right and then wrong, and then you count it. The TOCFL it uses a dynamic scoring system, which means that the test looks at, when you get a question right, how difficult was that? And based on your answers and how well you perform, it changes the questions that you get. So if you get a bunch of questions right, you'll begin, or everybody starts with the same very easy question. And then if you get questions right, you'll get harder questions. And then once you start getting questions wrong, it'll kind of flatten out. So the idea is that the test quite quickly finds at what level of difficulty do you begin not understanding. And the result is that it can quite accurately place your level without needing you to take so many questions like in a normal test. So to give just some quick reference numbers, you can see here. So the reason there are two different blocks, non-Hanzi and also then knowing Hanzi, is that if you speak a language, a different Chinese language, or if you know Japanese, the characters are the same ones get used in Chinese, and so not having to learn them saves you a lot of time. But this is roughly in class hours, then maybe you have some time out of class, and this is roughly how many words you'll need to know. About 1,200 for the A level, 5,000 for the B level, and 8,000 for the C level. So now we'll look at the question types, give a rough idea of like what sort of questions the TOCFL is going to answer. And since I only took the listening and reading tests, I'm only going to talk about those two types, but just if you choose to take the speaking and writing test, know that there will be questions for that also. So the test is Chinese, the instructions are in several different languages. So if you're newer to Chinese, or if you're just nervous on the test day and worried you're not going to understand anything, know that instruction is available in different languages, so you don't have to worry about not understanding the instructions or something like that. So we get started with the listening tests, which exact type of questions that you get will differ depending on kind of like which level of test you're taking. But in this one, we'll start with the A level test. So the most basic type of question is you'll hear a question and you'll ask to be given respond to the question, just what you think of when you think of a listening type question. So in here, the audio will tell you like, what do you see? Maybe it says there's a teacher standing at a blackboard and students sitting at a desk, and then ABC will be like, you'll see people eating lunch, you'll see a classroom, you'll see a sports game, and you have to pick the answer that matches the description. Similar here, single round dialogue. You hear just like one very short piece of audio, one sentence, and then there'll be pictures, and you'll say which description matches the picture. Multiple round is a conversation. You'll hear more than one person talking, and based on their conversation, you have to pick where is this conversation taking place or what's going on. And then here, this one is a bit interesting. You'll hear one person will talk, and so maybe it'll say like, this person will say so what do you think of the concert? And then your responses here, they say, it's like really noisy, there's not so many people, the environment is good, or the scenery is really good. And so based on what the first person says, you have to pick the best response to that question. And now on to reading. Similar thing, depending on which level you take, there are going to be different types of questions. But here I'll talk through the type of questions that appear in the Band A tests. So similar to the listening, in the first type of question, you'll just see a sentence. Here it says that cup of milk is half full, and then you look at the pictures and say, which picture matches this description? In the second type of question, you'll see a picture. Maybe it is a picture. Maybe it's some kind of chart, and you look at this and say, here are three potential answers, and which one of those statements is true? Based on what you see in the picture. In the third one, you get a longer paragraph, and then inside of here you have multiple answers, and you have to pick which answer is the best option to fill in the blank. And then kind of similar thing here, but smaller in scale. You'll see a sentence, and there'll be several verbs, several different options, and you have to pick which one or which grammar point is the best one to complete the sentence. The last type of question is just maybe exactly what you think of when you do a reading test. You'll see a paragraph. It can be, depending on the level you take, it can range from maybe just a paragraph to maybe it's like an entire page. And then after you read that, you'll have certain questions that try to see how well you've understood the paragraph. So as for the TOCFL test itself, it's a bit different in like every country. So I'm going to talk quickly about Taiwan, if you take the test in Taiwan, and then about overseas. So in Taiwan, the test happens 7 times per year in January, March, April, May, July, September, and November. And it's only done on the computer, and you can do it in all of Taiwan's major cities. This is what the test looks like. It's often in a university or a school. I took mine at NTU. You'll see outside of the, like when you arrive, there will be a big board that says, it has everybody's names and it tells you which room to go to. Then when you go to the room, you'll see a little schedule of when you should enter and stuff like that. There will be a test proctor, somebody who works for TOCFL, come and give instructions like, the test is about to start, so please follow me, come to the room, and they'll check your ID when you go inside. And when you sit down, you'll have an assigned seat like this, and the test will proceed. So here's a couple more pictures of that to give you an idea of what it looks like. And then here's kind of some of the outside environment, like when you first get to the building, what you can expect as you just show up. On the other side of things, TOCFL is given in several countries around the world, and it actually can be a bit different depending on where you do, but the basic, like actually taking the test, looks pretty similar. So no matter whether you're in Japan or France or Thailand, you sit at a desk by yourself and you have this quest. So how they register for the tests, this will be, I won't give exact instructions because it differs from country to country, but in any case, what you want to do is go to the TOCFL website, and we'll have a link for this at the end of the presentation. You want to click the candidate and then go to global exams and select your test. And when you do this, you'll see a listing of a bunch of different countries. So you can see here the nation, and there's Indonesia. They'll be in like alphabetical order. And so you want to scroll through this list and find your country. And if some countries might have multiple test locations, so pick your country and the place where you want to take the test, and there'll be contact information on the far side, so you can reach out to that person, either phone or email, to ask for more information. Again, I'll have this QR code at the end of the presentation, so you don't need to rush to take a picture or something. After you select, like to get signed up, you'll need to create a TOCFL account, and there's, again, you go here, you sign up your stuff, you'll have a fill out your information, and then TOCFL will use this to like give you information about when the test starts and what you need to prepare and stuff like that. So again, go to this website, find your area, and then the tests that are being offered when. You can see when they're offered and sign up for the one that you want. So if you take the test, and Chinese has two types of characters. There are simpler characters that are used in China, and then the traditional characters that are used in Taiwan and some other Chinese-speaking countries. If you're in Taiwan, the only version offered is the traditional characters, but if you're overseas, depending on the country or your choice, you can use traditional or simplified characters. And then we have a couple recommended resources from TOCFL here. So if you go to the TOCFL website, again, it's up here and it'll be at the end of the presentation. There's a bunch of different resources available. Of course, it's the talk response on Google too. But you can take a mock test. And if you're going to take the test, I really recommend doing this because even if you normally understand like Chinese, you do good in class, or you read books, or you watch dramas or something, the test question types are kind of specific, and they might ask you to use Chinese in ways that you don't expect. So it would be a shame to struggle like with the test, not because of your Chinese, but because you weren't expecting a certain question type. So you can go to the test and kind of get a feel for what sort of things will you have to do. There are also vocabulary lists if you're not sure what you want to study. This is a spreadsheet that you can download and see all of the words that will come up on the test. Again, these are the 4 QR codes we talked about. I'm going to move by because I'll put these at the very end of the presentation. And this is another thing that's at the end of the presentation. It's the Facebook page where they'll have like flashcards about more information about the tests and some activities.